Hey, what's going on, guys? Double 18 Set Shadow here. Hope everyone's been having a good week. Can't really say the same for myself. I think I caught something the other day, so need to head off to bed in a little bit and rest. But we'll be going through a few items before I do that. Starting with some stuff for lyrical melody that I want to cover. Especially staples, now that we're getting a few new promos for Lyrical. In particular, Kyrie got something new, and I think Michu also is getting something new. So just to go over a few items. Clear Shimmer Aura, something that we've talked about in the past, has, well, not much has changed in the trend. It's still expensive for its double rare state, and also has fewer listings on the double rare end than it does the frame rare. But the difference in price between these is not too high, so if you still need to pick these up, you might be better off just picking up the higher end for a few more dollars, as futuristically this thing could continue to see value increases for being generic as it is. Eureka is also running out of listings again. Now we're back down to 6, starting at $47. I mean, this card dips in and out as we go, but ultimately this is another card that could be seen as a staple for several lyrical decks. Kyrie still uses it, and Lutetia makes use of it. I believe there are one or two other decks kind of up and coming that can make use of this as well. But we'll have to see what happens, especially with the Festival collection coming up. Eureka could find itself as a tech option for any of the new Grade 3 bosses that we're getting there. Rorua. We haven't looked at this card for a little while, but it has risen in value, and with Minerva Rising now available, this card can see more play nowadays as a pretty strong rush deck overall. The SP is still out of stock, but the triple rare still has a fair amount of listings available, though they will start at $4 and go to $5 typically. So it's still not too expensive to pick up, but it's certainly not the cheap deck that it was before, especially when you consider another necessary component. Wow, I can't say that today. A necessary component of the deck, Radlina. You need to play this card alongside Roroa for the rush combos, and you end up playing the new Grade 3 variant of it as well for a 5 attack combo that you can perform when your opponent... I think your opponent has to be a Grade 3 for it to work. Yeah. But ultimately, the regular Radlina has increased in price higher than Roroa, and is now $8 minimum to pick up, and is a 4 of copy in the deck as well. Though I suppose you could experiment with fewer copies now that you want to be running the Grade 3 on top of that. So experiment and see where it goes, but you might want to be shopping around for this card since it is rising a bit in price. Raphaelis from Set 5 as well. Plant token support that initially was meant for Roroa, but can also be used in stuff like Granfia, and I also heard that it's got some premium application as well. This card has gone up in value since we last talked about it. Now it's $8, $8.50 to pick up. So another one that you're probably going to want to shop around for. I don't see too much heavy application in standard format for this one, so it could just be the premium aspect that's really driving it. I mean, Grumpia can make use of it quite well, but I don't think that it's an optimal tech to be using. Even so, it's one you want to keep your eye on. Fountain of Knowledge Eva has dropped from its major spike during Worlds, but even with that said, the card's price is still significantly higher than what it used to be. Now, it's a $20 pickup for just one copy. The rest of the deck is pretty pricey as it is, as most of the support cards all now range from about $8 to $20, even $25. Outside of some of the newer items that are still pretty cheap to pick up, and we'll be going through some of those as well. Virina Esperidia. Now, this card is something I've been paying attention to for a while, but I haven't really covered it, simply because this card seems to spike then drop, spike then drop. I mean, I've covered a few other cards like that, but this one, I mean, it only had application in one deck. Up until recently, where now Griffo Gear from set 9 has breathed some extra life into this card. And now it's back up to $20 for just its triple R right now. But to be fair, you do still have some options in higher rarity. If you want to go for the SP, there are 3 listings here. Looks like we're starting at $30. So yeah, we're looking at $30, but there are only 2 copies. So if you want the SP, you'll want to shop around for this one. But there's also the DSR, which I would personally just go for this one for the art factor. I mean, the thing though is that it's a big jump from the SP and the triple R, so it's understandable if you can't go for this one at all. But we'll have to see where this ends up going, because there's also the factor that this DSR features the main character, Yu with a dark outfit. And this is something that I've been wondering ever since this card came out. It's from set 4 after all. But is this season of the anime going to turn Yu evil? I feel like this card was foreshadowing for something like this to happen. But in any case, we're looking at 4 copies overall for 80 below. After that, it's 150. Ultimately, I don't think I've ever seen this card lower than 55. And even though Griffo Gear is the one that really breathes life to it in Standard, it does have some application in Premium as well, so that's part of what keeps the price up, probably also just because it's a main character support card. Bubetsu, also from set 4. This card is intended to be greed on support, but has some generic use with decks like Barrow Magnus if you wanted to try that out. Primarily I wanted to talk about the SP, although the triple R has been up in value as of late. Now it's about $3, but the SP has jumped to $10. This was pretty available, around $5 or lower beforehand, so if you wanted to pick this up, you're running out of quantities to pick it up for at cheap. And the thing about set 4 is that there's not likely to be another printing of this set, and it has so many good staples in it along with the draw triggers. It's just bringing up the price of almost anything that's generic or decent in the set. Excuse me. Which brings me to another card that I want to point out, Twin Great Magic Totone. This card is also a set 4 card, but it's a double R, has an SP printing as well. In general, this is something that you might want to keep your eye on, given its utility depending on decks. The way it works is that after your unit attacks, you can counterblast to perform all actions based on the triggers you reveal. If you reveal a crit, you bottom deck one of your opponent's rear guards, and if you check a front, you stand one of your grade 2 or less rear guards. And the interesting thing about this is that it's not once per turn limited. So, on top of the Vanguard, it just says at the end of the battle your unit attacks. So, if your rear guard units also get drive checks, aka the over trigger for Cater Sanctuary, this card can keep triggering as long as you've got the counterblast for it. And if you're playing a deck that utilizes front triggers more than draw triggers, the utility of this card goes up pretty drastically. It's cheap to pick up right now, so if you are into it, you might want to take a look at it. I personally am looking at picking up some of the SPs. I just like the artwork on this card as well, if anything else. I mean, draw triggers are still pretty necessary overall in D format, but we've already had decks like Youthberg that don't play them at all. So there is possibility that this card could see some gameplay down the line if that keeps happening. Going back to set 1, we've got Gunram, who has finally sailed on forward in terms of value. We're looking at $5 to pick up this card now. Well, I guess you can pick it up for 4 or under right now. depending on how many quantities you want. But yeah, being a Brainwash Swirler replacement or just a tag along to Brainwash Swirler for utilizing more Soul Charge, it was a given that this was going to happen sometime, but the SP is also gone. And looks like, yeah, $20. If you've got SP copies of Gunram that you don't want, well, you might be able to get $20 for it. And that covers the singles I'm going for today. Now let's take a look at Minerva Rising. Just to have a quick peek at a bunch of this stuff. We're looking at like the SNR is still above 1,000. Not much of a surprise given that it's tough to pull. I think it's one every 5 cases if I'm not mistaken. Lukier's Secret Rare is in the 300s right now, basically borderlining that with the FFR Minerva following behind. We've reversed here. Now the Secret Rare Maelstrom is higher than the FFR, but dang, that is a fall off from Lukier. You can pick this up for just over 100 if you wanted to. Silverthorn Rising Dragon is something you want to keep your eye out for. While it's intended to be Lukier's support, its first skill is generic and can be used in any deck. Gradius Gradley, the Chalice or the Goblet or whatever people would like to call this one, is $17 minimum to pick up, which is a little bit surprising. And on top of that, there are 35 listings, so unless someone just goes to buy those up en masse, well, yeah. Ultimately, a lot of triple rare support cards are doing pretty well, though. We're still holding at about $10, $9 for stuff like Wave Lost, Lukier, Maple, Obscured. So nothing is really up there outside of Minerva, who is still under $20 right now. The regular copies of Rising Dragon, we're looking at 5. Abent Robust is a double R, but we're looking at about 6 for that. In Japan, that card is a little expensive, so not too surprising. Let's see. The remakes, the retrains of Ririmi and Rarami are on the $3, $2 side here. The World is a Blue Research Lab. This is your primary new support for Eva, which is now about $3 and is a double R, so not bad. Archite, Eva's sister, is about $2.50 to pick up to start. Oh, we're looking at some low listings on the Gokterra. This is the frame rare version of it, and it's meant for Archite. $3 basically. Radlina, $2.41. What else are we looking at? Song of Extolment can be heard. This is the frame rare? Yeah. Poor Chaos just can never get a break. Graham Grace has a lot of listings at just over $1, so that's actually not a bad pickup. Go Ahead Mikani is also a really nice generic. Basically, it's your third Gunram or Brainwash Swirler, which can also soul charge itself if you need to. So, definitely something to consider. I think that basically covers it for the high end. I know I definitely want to pick up a lot of copies of this. It's not great, and honestly I don't see much playability out of it, but I like the card. Universal Angel also looks pretty nice. To the Shining Stage. If you intend to pick up this card, I mean, you can only use it with Roroa, just keep that in mind, but it's nothing more than a copy of Condensation and Dim Darkness. And I think that just about covers that, so we'll wrap it up there. Thanks a lot, you guys, for watching, and if you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and let me know if you have any requests. I will see if I can incorporate them next time. See you guys.